Is this working? Maybe. Hi everyone. I'm gonna go live now. I'm gonna teach this. So this should be going out now on multiple different platforms. So there'll be people who. Jeff's here already. Hi, Jeff. So yeah, this is an AimHi live. So I'm gonna basically be teaching this lesson about how life began. And the main place it's streaming is on www.aimhi with hi spelled hi.co. But I think it's going out on loads of platforms. So if you're joining on other platforms now, throw your comments into the chat. Basically, just ask any questions you want whenever you want, and we'll see where this goes. The point of it. Oh, hi Jelly, hi Mariella, nice to see you guys. I'm gonna. Well, I'll just get going. I'll just start. But do ask questions whenever you like, and we shall see what happens. So this first live is about how did life begin. But first, and I think I've shown this picture before. Let's see if people remember. But first, what is this? And where does it come from? Or where does it belong? Okay, so some comments coming in from people. Okay, Marielle is saying that she's the person who told me about octopus blood. And this is a kind of octopus. For those of you who don't know, octopus blood is blue. So I just found out, I literally just found this out. So you know how when you look at your arms, you can see like, I don't know if you can see this, but you can, let's make it bigger. When you look at your arms, you can kind of see that there's like some bluish sections, like that bit there. And you know how you're always told, you know how you're always told at school, the blood without any oxygen in is blue, and the blood with oxygen in it is red. Well, actually, what I just found out is that the blood without any oxygen in it is still red. So when it's got oxygen in it, it's like a kind of really nice red colour. And when it's not got oxygen in it, it's still kind of this like deep red colour. It just looks kind of bluish from outside your arm. But I was thinking, if you were to... Because the problem is, you never see this darker colour blood. Why do you guys think this is? Sorry, I'm going to come back to the octopus. I've been distracted. Why do people think it is that you never see this darkish coloured blood? Even if you cut a vein, why do you never see the dark kind of bluish coloured blood or dark red coloured blood coming out of your body? What do people reckon? And yeah, if you're joining late, this is an AimHi live, so it's like a live science lesson. Today I'm streaming it on the AimHi Facebook, the AimHi Twitch, AimHi website, and then I'm also put it on my own YouTube and my own Instagram, I think. Well, and I don't know if I can actually see any of the comments coming in on Instagram because I'm literally just experimenting. Definitely can't see any comments coming in from Instagram yet, but maybe that's because there are none. Okay, so Pumpkin Master and Jeff and Jasmine have got comments coming in from them about why you never see this dark blood coming out. So Jasmine's saying because in your arteries, so don't cut a vein. Oh, that would be. I mean, in your arteries you've got the bright red blood, this one, and in your veins you've got the kind of darker blood. And Jeff is saying because it gets oxygenated as soon as it leaves the body. Yeah, exactly. So if you bleed this darker coloured blood on Earth, then as soon as it comes out of your body, it grabs onto oxygen and becomes red. So where is a place where if you did cut yourself, like you cut a vein, you would be able to see this dark blood? Where would you have to go to make that happen? Yes, I'll write that on here. Where do you have to go so that you can see dark blood coming out of a cut? Make that much smaller. Okay, so everyone's chiming in with space. Yes, exactly, space. I actually thought, because I thought that maybe any blood that you bleed in space might go this dark colour, because maybe space would strip away the oxygen. But actually, I've been looking into it, and your blood is really good at holding onto the oxygen even in space. So the red blood will stay red, but any kind of darker blood you release will will stay dark as well because there's no oxygen to pick up. So actually, if you bleed in space, you bleed a whole spectrum of different bloods, which brings us nicely back to space and also to this octopus. What do you guys think is... someone coming called Papua saying that they love this. Thanks, Papua. You're watching on YouTube, right? So yeah, go to the AimHi website, aimhi.co. HI, I think it's spelled. Yeah, if you want to see all the stuff that goes around it as well. Something has happened. Wait, give me one moment, everyone. I have to turn off the live stream on Instagram because apparently it is a total disaster. Right, turning off the live stream on Instagram. Farewell. And yeah, let's delete that live stream as well. Well, it was an experiment. I'll try live stream again another time on Instagram. Okay, so going back to this. Where were we? Okay, right. So this octopus is... I don't know if anyone said what it was. Did anyone say what the name of the octopus was? I'm just going to quickly see if anyone knows. So no one said the name of the octopus. This octopus is called a Dumbo octopus. I think it's because of its ears, like Dumbo the elephant. It has nice, big, pretty ears. And these little cute things are found chilling like right in the deep ocean near the bottom, and they just kind of like hover around with their little legs. The reason why I wanted to show you a Dumbo octopus is because part of this live was also about... someone said vampire octopus. Nah, Jeff, it's so cute. It needs a name like Dumbo octopus. Yeah, one of the reasons why I put this up is because, yeah, this live was about finding life in outer space. And a big question that I have is like, how much do you guys want to find life in outer space? Do you want to find it? Would that be like a big goal? If you could finish your life and you'd be like, right, I've found life in outer space. Is that something you'd love to do? What do you guys think? I know it's quite open-ended. And someone was asking, how big are they? That's Pumpkin Master. And Jasmine's coming in with small. Yeah, they are really small. I think they're only about this size, these Dumbo octopuses. And yeah, Mariella told me that octopus blood is blue yesterday, which is because they are, instead of carrying their oxygen with iron, they carry oxygen around with copper, and that goes blue when it's got all the oxygen on it, which is such a cool fact. But yes, okay, Jeff really wants to find life in outer space, and Priya on YouTube is really keen to bring life to space. Priya, I totally get that. Like, I know some people see this as like a polluting thing, but I think it would be so cool to set up a project where you send like a little rocket ship into outer space and you've got the rocket ship absolutely full of extremophile bacteria. What do you guys think extremophiles are? Have you heard that word before? Extremophiles. Does anyone know what extremophiles are? And yeah, just very quickly, re-welcoming anyone who's joining late. This is an AimHi Live, so it's just like it's a lesson about how life began. Well, that's what it's supposed to be about. We'll get there eventually. But at the moment, we're talking about bringing life to outer space. And Toby Lockhart is saying that, Toby, come on, mate, you got to be careful. Toby's saying that he's going to cut himself in space so that he can see the different colours of blood. Mate, it's so dangerous cutting yourself in space because the healing process, the scabbing process that heals the wounds, that depends on oxygen and other gases in the air. And so if you're not exposed to those gases, which you won't be in space, then it just won't heal and it'll just keep bleeding and bleeding and bleeding. Total disaster. Okay, I'm just going to quickly catch up on the chat. Okay, Pumpkin Master's saying that he or she, actually, I don't know, thinks we should fix our own planet first before we start expanding. And I totally agree with that. Pumpkin Master's also saying that that extremophiles are animals or living things that can survive extreme conditions, and that's exactly it. So tardigrades are a great example of that. For anyone who doesn't know what tardigrade is, they're like little creatures that look like tiny little bears, and they can survive temperatures of something, I can't remember exactly what the range is, but I think it's about 150 degrees tops, and they can survive down to like minus 250 degrees or something mad cold. They can survive for 30 years with no food and water, and they can survive the pressure of the bottom of the ocean and the vacuum of space, and they're basically just like total legends of creatures, and everyone loves tardigrades. Yeah, water bears is the other thing that they're called. Anyway, so extremophiles are things that can survive crazy conditions, so why don't we load up a rocket with extremophiles, send it to different places in space and see if they catch on, see if life can actually be spread to other places. I kind of like the idea of that. A lot of people are like, oh, no, you shouldn't pollute the rest of the universe with life. But I don't know, what is life if it's not spreading itself? But yes, the reason I showed you the Dumbo octopus, I've drifted so far away from this, is because for me, a really big thing about exploring space and trying to find life on other planets is I just really want people to, and I think a lot of you guys maybe already agree with this, I really want people to think that there is so much beautiful life on Earth that we still have no idea about. There's so much like alien to discover on the planet that we actually don't really need to be exploring space. We really just need to be looking after our own planet. And octopuses are a great example of something that is crazy beautiful that we still don't understand most of. They evolved eyes completely separately to us. Their eyes are so much better than ours in that they don't have a blind spot. In fact, do you guys know how to do the blind spot test? Wait, we'll just do a quick blind spot test. Okay, everyone, I don't know if everyone's got this big enough, but so everyone has a blind spot at the back of each eye where the optic nerve comes into the eye and then folds back into the retina. And octopuses don't have this, basically because their eyes are better evolved than ours in a load of places. I think Fatima just came in with a comment maybe about octopuses and how they could get really smart on Earth. Octopuses are incredibly intelligent, but they only live for like 10, 12 years or so. Like if we could get them to live a lot longer, then maybe they'd be able to build more systems of compiling knowledge like us, and then they'd probably outcompete us. And anyway, right, blind spot test. So cover one of your eyes, and now look at the blue dot and move closer to it until you get to a point where the cross just completely disappears. And there will be a point when, as long as you're not looking at the cross, as long as you only look at the dot, the cross will just completely vanish. And that is the point when the cross is lined up perfectly with a blind spot on the back of your eyes. Octopuses don't have that, which is pretty cool. And Toby's just come in to say that the plural of octopus is octopodes, informal is octopi. Yeah, okay, octopodes. I was speaking. This is one of the things that people argue about all the time. I was speaking to someone who studied like Greek and Latin and all the classics at Oxford, and he was like, octopuses is fine. So I've been going with that, but maybe I should go for octopodes. And oh, Jeff's come in. Oh, great comment about Dumbo octopuses, about how important it is to explore what we've got here on Earth. 12 people have walked on the moon and only 3 people have gone to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. Yeah, the ocean still has so much to explore and so much to look after as well. Fatima's also just said something really interesting about octopus that actually I didn't know. I don't know a huge amount about octopus. I just know that they're really interesting. And she said that the mother dies when the octopus hatch, and so there's no way of passing on knowledge in that way as well, which is also really sad. Oh, poor octopuses. They must be octopodes. They must be so well, I guess they don't feel lonely because it will have been evolved out of them, but still, imagine what it's like growing up with just like completely by yourself like that. Okay, so Jasmine also thought it was octopuses. Yeah, I think some octopodes live for 6 months maximum. Okay, so some octopuses don't even live that long. Anyway, we've got to move on from octopuses because, like, this has been octopodes. Is that how you pronounce it? Anyway, we're going to move on from octopuses. We're going to move on to some more science stuff. Quickly, just another thing on the bottom of the ocean, which I'll actually come to on another live that I'm going to do later. Does anyone know what kind of fish this is? And for bonus points, does anyone know what this is? And while people are throwing in answers, I'm just going to catch up on some of the chat. Jasmine's talking about how the babies are really microscopic and float off when they're born, octopodes, and yeah, it just reminded me of that that squid that's eternal, that can turn itself back into a polyps if life sucks. Then it can just turn itself back into its baby state, sink to the bottom of the ocean, and just start off its life again. Okay, so people are coming in with the answers. Wait, I can't see the actual answer for what this is, but lots of people are saying that the Mariela said it's an ugly fish, and Priya's saying the little one is the male. Exactly, that is what's going on. So this is an anglerfish with its little light here, and the little light is what it uses to attract in prey. And often it comes in different shapes, that often the light will be hanging over the top. But yeah, if the anglerfishes, the female is huge compared to the male, and the male's only role is just to basically just swim around, bite into the female and then get absorbed by her. And the female can absorb multiple males and just either digest them or use the sperm whenever she wants. And it's just a good example of female being totally dominant over males, which is actually what it's like in most of nature. And anyway, I'm going to go on to that in another live some other time. Right, okay, how did life begin? Let's do it. Okay, so if you guys were with me a few lives ago, then you'll remember that we talked about this guy. So this guy is called Schrödinger. And Schrödinger came up with a definition of life that is way better than the one that you learn in school. And the one you learn in school is like that Mrs. Gren thing, which is movement, respiration, sensitivity, growth, reproduction, excretion, and nutrition. Like, if things do those things, then we generally say they're alive. That's what you learn in school. But Schrödinger had a way better definition for what it means for something to be alive. Does anyone who remembers what it is? What's his definition of life? Jeff is saying that apparently those immortal jellyfish are so small and scientists have never seen one turning younger again. And yet I thought there was evidence for them turning younger because we've seen them cycling. So is that perhaps that's just a theory? In fact, yeah, Jeff, tell me more about that. I'm really interested to know if you know more. Okay, so Jasmine's coming in, exactly. Mrs. Hernerg, that's what I had in year 7. Wait. Neb, or NebQS, I don't know how to pronounce that. What's the H stand for in your Mrs. Hernerg? I really want to know what the H is. Haven't heard that one before. But yes, Jasmine is jumping in exactly with reduces the chaos inside itself. So life reduces the chaos inside itself, and that's the kind of like simple wording that we used before, and then the kind of scientific wording that you'd used is it reduces its internal entropy. So life is a system in the universe that is constantly reducing the chaos inside itself and then throwing chaos outwards to compensate. Because as many of you will know, one of the most important laws of the whole universe is that chaos or entropy is always increases. It must always increase in all the processes that happen. The universe is becoming more chaotic, can't stop it. But somehow life is this amazing thing that reduces that chaos inside itself, just like it did inside this guy when he came up with all this stuff, including the Schrödinger's cat and all those things. And Fatima's guessing about what the H is, hunger. I know H stands for homeostasis. Jeff's asking what that means. I'll just quickly tell everyone what homeostasis means. Homeostasis. So stasis, staying still. Homeo means to do with like the body and internal conditions. So homeostasis just means keeping internal conditions relatively constant. So if you're in a super hot place, then your body cools itself down. If you're in a cold place, it heats itself up. Keeps stuff constant, because good. Okay, so since we are, so we're finally, oh, this is going to be so hard to fit all of this in, but I'm going to rush through this really quickly. And Priya is asking great question, Priya, by Schrödinger's definition, are viruses alive? And it's difficult to say. I would say, I've chatted to a few people about this before, some other scientists, and everyone seems to think that this also does not qualify viruses as alive, because viruses don't do a process that is reducing the chaos inside themselves. And in fact, if they get damaged, then they just get damaged and they don't repair themselves. Viruses are just a thing that gets a cell to make more of itself, but they don't reduce their own internal entropy. So virus, still unlucky virus, not alive. Tell you what's even less alive than a virus, and that's a prion. Maybe I'll do another live on prions later. I'm going to write that down because prions are really interesting. They're a thing that causes disease that are even less alive than a virus. Well, I'm doing a live on parasites actually on Monday, I think. Yeah, I think is it Monday? Yeah, I think Monday is the day that I'm doing the parasites live. Okay, so cracking on. Right, I want to show you guys this really quick video, and it's something that was going around the news for a bit, so you might have seen it. This is what happens if you take a load of pepper and you sprinkle it over the top of water, and then you put a drop of soap in the middle. Does anyone know what happens? In fact, I'm just going to show you. Here we go. Okay, just show you one more time because it's so cool. Right, okay, so this happen. The reason this happens is really cool. It's really cool, and it's really key for how life began. This video was going around a lot to try and convince people to wash their hands, because it was showing that they were using the pepper to represent the virus and the soap to represent the shield away from it. But actually, it was a nice video because it did get people to wash their hands, which was useful. But that's not really why it's working. Why it works is because of this incredible chemical called a surfactant. And this chemical, and again, the name isn't important, but I'm just going to give it to you anyway. The thing that I want you to notice most is that it sounds like the word surface. Surface. And wait, I'm just going to catch up on a little bit of chat and see what's going on. So Nebkurs is talking about how viruses use animal cells and implant their DNA into them. Yeah, they do. So, but then the animal cell is the thing, I guess, that is reducing the chaos by forming more viruses. The virus, I don't think you can definitely say that they're the thing reducing the chaos. But anyway, right, so surfactants, they work in this way because they have a head that loves water. So before we had that word extremophile, which meant extremophile. An extremophile was like a living thing that loved the extremes, lover of extremes. And so what you use, the word that you use for this head is hydrophile or hydrophilic, because it loves water. But that's less important. The names of these things are never that important. You know, but it's just important to know how they work. And the tail hates water. Head loves water, tail hates water. And soap is made of this stuff. And yes, Fatima's just jumped in saying that it's hydrophobic, which is exactly what you call the tail. Hydrophobic. Okay, so so yeah, if you have a water surface, and so let's say you've got all so this is below the surface, and this is above the surface, then if you scatter a load of these surfactant chemicals over the top, then the only way they're going to like to sit is how? What do you guys think? How are they going to sit on the surface? Toby's got a hydrophobic friend. Nice. What does that mean? Oh, as in like doesn't like going in the sea, maybe. Have you seen all those like hydrophobic clothes that people get, where water gets poured on their clothes and then it just like splashes off? Yeah, it seems pretty extreme, but it's cool because if it's raining, I guess you just repel it all. Okay, so yeah, Jasmine's saying head first, and Jeff's saying the top will go down, the tail will stay up. Exactly. So the head goes in, tail goes up. Oh, let's make that a tiny bit bigger. Yeah, head goes in, tail goes up, all across the surface. Now, these little guys want to do this so much. They want to be on the surface doing this so much that even though they're like tiny little tiny chemicals, if you get a rock of pepper that to them would be like this big, like absolutely enormous, even if you get a huge rock of pepper on the surface, these things will be piling up here, loads of them, like absolute mountains of surfactants from your finger, from the soap that you've just touched to the surface. There'll be just a huge crowd of them here that'll just be like, whoa, like pushing it out of the way so hard that the peppercorn will get thrown out of the way. The pepper will get pushed aside. I'm just going to show you that video again because it's kind of crazy imagining that the speed at which these pieces of pepper are moving across the surface, because that represents the speed at which the particles of the surfactant are like spreading across the surface. Anyway, key point is that these surfactants love to be on surfaces more than anything else. Okay, next thing. So if you now get, so this is basically how soap works, and then that'll become how life works. And Oliver's just come in to say it's a monolayer, and you're exactly right, Oliver. Yeah, you call it a monolayer of surfactants. Right. Okay. So soap. If we've got here a big old droplet of fat below the surface, then let's put the surface of the water up here. So that's the So the surface can be up here, and as you guys were already saying, the heads are going to be happily on the surface and the tails sticking out of the surface, and they're happy like that. But eventually the surface is going to get full, and then you're going to have loads of these surfactants that are going to be like, well, where do we go? And next place they'll go is on the surface of somewhere like oil. So how do people think they're going to sit on the oil? What do you guys reckon? I'm just going to quickly catch up on the chat while seeing what people have said. Izzy Rose is saying it looks like the phospholipids in cell membranes. Nice, Izzy, that's exactly where we're going. And Jasmine's asking, so what in the soap has the surfactants in it? Soap is surfactant. That's basically what soap is. So it will be some charged chemical will be the bit that loves water, and then you'll have like some fatty tail that hates water. So soap you make from fats by basically acidifying one side of it. So you end up with like a charged head on the fat and then like a long tail of fattiness. And so the fattiness, as you know, hates water, and then the charged bit actually really likes it. And what else? And Toby's asking, yeah, wait, life is built out of soap. Yes, that's exactly where we're coming to. Soap, well, not soap itself, but the fundamental things that make soap work are the same things that make life work. That's where we're going. This live is going to go on slightly longer than the normal half an hour. Sorry, guys. I'll try and finish it as quickly as possible, though. Okay, so yes, you will get the tail in the oil and the head will stick out. So what you'll get is surfactants that will stick all over the surface until this droplet of oil is totally covered. The droplet of oil will be totally covered in surfactants. I am not going to draw all of them, but you can imagine that the entire surface will be covered in it. Right, fine. But what about when you've got so many surfactants? Because, you know, you pour loads of like washing up liquid into a bowl when you're cleaning. What about when there's so many surfactants that the entire surface of the water is covered? The entire surface of every droplet of oil is covered. Now what happens? Where do the spare surfactants go? What do they want to do? And Magdalena is saying, I thought you are the soap. That's kind of where we're going. We kind of are going to a point where we're finding out how we are kind of made from soap, kind of. does it become... Jeff's asking if it becomes algae. No, the soap doesn't become algae. It doesn't die. So the soapy surfactant stuff does not die. It can't die because it's not alive. It's just a chemical. Like, if you're comparing this to the size of cells, like, cells would be huge compared to just these little chemicals. They're just little chemicals. They're not alive. Toby's asking if you can go into Jesus mode and walk on water using some of this knowledge. Maybe. I'm not going to suppose any of that, but maybe you can invent something on the basis of this. Anyway, the answer is that no, the soap doesn't go down the drain because you're still in the washing up bowl. You've got the surface covered in soap. You've got the drop. You've got the oil covered in soap. What happens is the soap starts working on creating more surface that it can sit on. So the soap doesn't just give up there. It like says, right, let's take this droplet of fat and let's cut it in half. Because if we cut it in half, there's now loads of new layer that we can sit on. Ooh, I've got that the wrong way around. Oh no, that is the right way around. And so it starts breaking down the droplets just purely because it's just trying to like barge in and like trying to create new parts of the soap where it can cover it and, create new parts of the oil where it can go on the surface. So it just makes new bits of surface of the oil. And it keeps doing this, chopping the oil up into smaller and smaller pieces so that it can cover every single part of the surface until the oil droplets are so tiny because the surfactant has like pulled them apart so much to create as much surface area as possible. The oil droplets will eventually be so tiny with all the little tails kind of inside that now your oil droplets are small and so you can just wash them away with running water. And that's how washing up works, right? You make the oil droplets small, so instead of it being really hard to scrub them away, they become tiny little things that just like can go down the sink. So that's how soap works. Right, how does this relate to life? And so to do this, you've got to think, is there a way that you can create even more surface area with a droplet of fat than just turning it into small droplets? Is there a way that you can make even more surface area? What do you guys think? And Izzy Rose is asking, does it break up using mechanical force rather than chemical reactions? And that's exactly right. There's no chemical reaction going on. It's literally just those tails are like finding somewhere to go. They just need to find somewhere to go. And so one of the tails are like maybe find a little bit of oil and just like, let's shove its way in. But in doing so, it'll push the other phospholipids aside. So you're pushing all the phospholipids apart and that will start to peel the oil apart and create new surface. And Mariella's saying, so they did go down the drain. Yes, they did eventually go down the drain, but not until they'd done their job. And Izzy Rose is asking, is it a bilayer now? And that's exactly right. So I'm going to draw it for you. So rather than making tiny droplets, there's one other thing that can happen. If you're shaking up the washing up bowl and you're putting a bit of motion into it and a bit of like movement energy, then every now and then oil droplets, instead of forming smaller and smaller droplets, they will form a bubble. And the bubble will be like this. So it will have a thin layer of oil, and on the inside, you'll have water. And on the outside, you'll have water as well. And the bubble itself will, yes, the layer will be made of oil. So now the surfactants have a place where they can sit. Oops, way too big. Now the surfactants will have a place where they can sit on the outside and on the inside. So loads and loads of surface area, loads. Because yeah, this is the most effective way that they can create extra surface area by changing this oil droplet. Right. So this, well, someone else already said it. It was Izzy saying that this is now a bilayer. So yes, this we now call a bilayer because you've got surfactants on the outside and surfactants on the inside, and this is amazingly stable. Like the surfactants want to keep this layer of oil stable, because if the layer of oil collapses, then loads of the surfactants are going to lose a place to put their tails. So they just hold it there, and it's amazingly stable. And for those of you who have already recognised what this is, well, actually, let's see what people think it is. What does this look like? What does this appear to be like that we've just made with soap? What's the thing in nature that this is basically the same as? And Jeff is saying a bubble, Mariella's saying a bubble, and Izzy is saying a cell. It is a bubble, and it's a cell. This is what our cells are like. Our living cells are, so when you draw them, normally you just draw like a layer like this, and you call it the cell membrane. The cell membrane is this. It's a layer of oil stabilized on both sides by surfactants. And the surfactants have got a really complicated name in the body. They're called phospholipids. But again, you don't need to know that really right now. But that's what we call the surfactants that stabilize this layer that we call the cell membrane. And all cells are made of surfactants with a layer of oil, and they've got water on the inside and water on the outside. Right. Now, to bring all of this together, Jasmine's saying that she now feels guilty for popping bubbles. Jeff's saying same. Yeah, well, not all bubbles have life inside them, but maybe the kind of underwatery ones could do. And that's the thing, like what we're coming around to is theoretically, you have the potential to create life in a washing up bowl. Theoretically, it's possible. Now, the key bit of life that we need to talk about, where have I got some more space? Not there. Okay, let's go over here. So the reason why I was talking about Schrödinger and the reason why I was talking about these bubbles as well is that if you can achieve life, so creating more, like less chaos inside yourself, there needs to be an inside. And so the most crucial part of life is to have something like a cell membrane that can contain the life. And then you need it to be such that it can take in energy and it can kick out waste. And that's the fundamental thing. And it needs to be constantly reducing chaos inside itself, which means it needs to be repairing itself, it needs to be fixing itself, and crucially, it also needs to be somehow able to replicate itself. And those are the key things. Now, you can see by doing washing up that it's pretty easy to create bubbles. You have an ocean swilling around with a bit of fat in it and a few random chemicals on a planet that hasn't developed any life. Sure, there are going to be bubbles that are going to develop, right? There are. Eventually, it'll form. But what you need to think about when you're trying to work out how likely life is to evolve is you have to imagine the chances of each of these steps occurring. So first you have to think about the chances of bubbles forming like this. Could happen. These chemicals are in the universe. Something I only just learned is that, in fact I can't remember the exact number, but someone told me how much fatty material there is in the galaxy. And they're just floating around in space, there's enough for like multiple billions of packs of butter, which I was really surprised about because I thought fat was a thing that was only on Earth, but actually there's fat everywhere. Wait, I'm just going to say, what's the best soap for bubbles? I think Fairy Liquid is so good. Fairy Liquid is the best, basically, but I'm trying to switch over to the ones where you use less plastic. Mariella's asking, what's my Insta username? So AimHi Live, is the one for this. Although she may be asking for someone else's Instagram. But still, everyone follow this Instagram, which is AimHi Live on Instagram. And on Facebook, it's AimHi Lives for some reason. Don't know why. And not that people really use Facebook anymore. Although I'm going to try and use it. I'm going to try and use it more. In fact, there aren't any questions coming in from Facebook. Classic. Anyway. Right, so crack it on because I'm running really over time and I've only got I'm going to try and finish in 3 minutes. Right, so in order to form life, first you need a bubble to form, which can kind of happen because the building blocks exist. But then you need to think about how unlikely it is that this bubble would randomly form around exactly the right chemicals and materials that just spontaneously, without any other interference, these things would start bringing in energy, bringing in some kind of fuel and pushing out waste products. How unlikely is that some random chemicals will exist that have the ability, once randomly sealed in this bubble that doesn't even form that often, that somehow are able to pull in energy and kick out waste? Really unlikely, right? Really unlikely. Now consider how unlikely it is on top of that you would then also get a bubble that can pull in energy, kick out waste, and also somehow repair itself. and it has to all happen on the first try, because if it doesn't, it's gonna collapse, right? How unlikely is that? You're gonna need to form quadrillions of these bubbles to get anything like that. And then, even when you formed that, you need to form that thing loads and loads of times before you get one that just so happens to also be able to reproduce, to form new versions of itself. Unfathomably unlikely. It's so unlikely. And yet, we hope that it has happened somewhere else, because it would be interesting if there was other life somewhere in the universe. But now that you can see like a bit of the beginnings of how the chemistry works, maybe you can see that it is really unlikely for there to be other life on Earth. Anyway, right, I'm going to move across to the end of the lesson, because this one went on quite a while, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. Here's just another cool thing on Earth that's kind of like an alien. And yeah, I just think it's interesting. It's interesting to explore outer space, and I think that all science is great, and that it's asking questions and we're trying to learn more about the world. But I do think there's a massive underappreciation for how much alien life and like fascinating life there is on Earth that we need to protect. And I can't remember what this thing is called, but I'm just going to call it a snakeapilla, which is just a caterpillar that makes itself look like a snake to defend itself. Did you know that loads of mammals have this thing where if they see the shape of a snake, we've got better visual accuracy for the shape of a snake than for anything else. So you can see the shape of a snake from further away than you can see the shape of anything else. And also if it's like hidden in the bushes. I think it's pretty cool. Anyway, right, this one's gone on for way longer than usual, but please let me know any feedback that you guys have. Like, did you enjoy it? How was the extra time? Did you think it was too long? And thanks so much for coming. Do spread the word to friends and family. I'm going to be on at 2 p.m. every day, streaming a different thing. The calendar is on, if you want to check out what's coming next, the calendar is on www.aimhi.co. And yeah, do follow the social accounts on Instagram and Twitter if you do that, and Facebook and all those things. Yeah, thanks so much for joining, everyone. I will see you guys tomorrow. Oh, wait, and also someone was asking what my Instagram was. Yeah, my Instagram is at Matthew Shribman, because that's me. But this Instagram is at AimHi Live. And also, I just got a TikTok if anyone wants to come on my TikTok. But that's a whole different story. I'll shove that up there. Wait, were there any last questions actually before I go? Jeff's saying that he enjoyed that. Thanks so much, Jeff. And Toby's saying caterpillar, snake. And Fatima's saying that all my old aunts and uncles use it. Yeah, mate, that's all I get bombarded with on Facebook these days. But I think I am streaming on Facebook, so shouldn't say anything rude about it. Anyway, yes, bye everyone. Thanks so much for coming. See you guys tomorrow at 2 p.m. All right, farewell. Bye.